who has been torn away from their security blanket, their parents, the ones who stop the boogeyman from terrorizing the nights and curing their boo-boos when they scrape their knees. Now just imagine how they mightst feel when the CPS meant to protect them tears them away from their supposed abusers and places them with strangers who have zero comforting skills. They need to be calmed. They are confused, lost, panicked, and needing their parents, but CPS took them away for the purpose of saving them. The kids don't even know why, and they are told that the parents they attach to no longer want them. What do you think that does? Do you think that this is how protecting children is supposed to look? Abolish CPS.
They are taking our kids every day. I shout them in and no one has a thing to say. For those who have been isolated, don't be worried, you have a voice today. So listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. But when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeve. You can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You no longer will steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, God damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up like thin tags. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come. Picking you one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows and the only games you play are on Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior, and we cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All children are being stolen way too often. So CPS, we plan on doing the stopping.
We're stopping, Tiff.
Stopping.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, Tiff.
Hey, how's it going?
Look at this. 2 minutes early even. Holy smokes.
I know.
No, well, I mean, this is your gig, your deal. Do you want to do the introductions? Because we don't need to waste any time.
Nope,
We're on
we
time
sure
clock.
don't. So, as I said at the beginning of the week, I was going to have Senator Eric Buckson come on. He is my brother-in-law. And I have my sister on too. And her name is Jennifer Buckson. So if you want to bring them on in.
Hi.
Oh, I feel like we're in the Brady Bunch.
There it is. Get that song
Senator,
going.
right there.
Jennifer Buckson from Delaware.
Hi, everybody.
Man, we gotta switch his spot.
Okay.
We gotta put him up here. There we go. That's
Yeah, there you go. So I see that some people want to come on. I said it's only going to be me and Darren with them. If anybody has questions, then you can ask in the chat. So the reason I brought you back on is one, because you're my brother-in-law. And two, we are now going into 2025. New people are coming in. We need more senators like you who are really doing something. How can our viewers get the attention of their senators? Because they're having a lot of problems getting these people to answer them back.
You know, it's a great question, and I don't know how it is in Virginia, but in Delaware, of course, and naturally, I was given a gift of a clock, and can you hear that in the background? Yeah, so you're gonna have to wait. It's gonna ring 8 bells, but
I
I'll
thought
try.
you were gonna say that was the sound of victory or something.
A sweetheart lady named Faye White. She was an activist out of Philadelphia. I mean, hardcore, very connected, Democrat Party. I mean, high up. Moves to Dover. I run into her in the Safeway. She's happened upon me. Strike up a conversation. I hand her my card. The next thing you know, I'm doing a lot of work helping her out with certain things that she does here now in Dover. She calls me over to a dinner they're having and hands me this clock and a plaque, and then finds out that I actually am a Republican. Which was fun. It's no big deal, but it was humorous because I never told her, because she was such a high up individual in her party, that, it wasn't really relevant. She's retired here, and it wasn't relevant. We were working good together. But how did I get to that? Because that clock was ringing, and it was her gift to me. So, but you asked about connecting with your elected officials. The beauty of Delaware, it's such a small state. It's very easy to connect with a senator or a representative, or heck, even a governor, or even your state, national senator. So from my experiences working with constituents and folks, it is that simple. It's a passionate plea to connect with the senator, and then a senator who's willing to have those conversations with folks. What I always do when I entertain conversations is just that. I don't come in with the pretense that I'm smarter than the person trying to meet with me. I don't assume to agree or disagree. I feel like in my position, it's my job first to seek an understanding of what it is they're presenting. So I would encourage folks in your neck of the woods to do the same thing. I think that elected officials within reason should all have that mindset. And I would recommend that you as an individual or as a group push the envelope and ask for those meetings.
Yeah, because I get meetings with my senators and my delegates. I shouldn't have said this, but I did. I said, we need to talk because CPS is literally murdering our families.
Well,
but in a sense, they really are. Even the National Child Protective Service reform, they didn't use the word murder, but they said we are literally killing the family units in the United States. That's what they said.
So let me ask you this, and regrettably, sometimes it's a nervous laugh, right? So you said something very challenging and tough to hear. And then, of course, I nervously, because I understand what you were saying. You were saying that you came at whoever the rep was or Senate was in a very strong way, right? My question, I don't know enough. So then when somebody was to present that to me, it would catch my attention. I'd want a better understanding. And I'd want to sit with them and talk with them about what is it that you mean when you say that? Because the instinct in me here in Delaware, I can't speak for where you are, but in Delaware is that there's a lot of good in there. And I would ask you, if you were from Delaware, show me why that's not true. If I said that there are flaws in the system and mistakes that are made and very traumatic, challenging mistakes that we need to work on, but there's a framework of good there. Is that a false statement to make? And that's my question to you in Virginia. Is there good within the system?
Absolutely not.
But then why? Why? And so there are no examples. And again, I'm speaking from ignorance, so I'm not challenging you. I'm saying I'm hard pressed to understand that.
I work with Poverty Law School. You know that.
Mhm.
I actually brought the lawyer that I work with on, and she has even gone to the legislative body and said only 1%, and this is across the nation, only 1% of child abuse, neglect, or physical abuse, sexual abuse is real. Why are we pulling kids out here? I'm just going to talk for Virginia.
Sure.
Why are we pulling kids out at an 85% rate and only sending 40 of them home, which means 60% of those children are being adopted out by non-family members?
Yeah.
There's nothing good. See, it starts with CPS. It starts with the hotline, and it ends with a judge. Now, Darren here, had he known me, his case would have turned out totally different, because he started airing them out on this channel. They cut off his visits and then terminated his rights for alienation. What good is that?
Right.
This is what is going on across the United States. Now, with that being said, Trump, and you already know, you hit my Facebook page and said, "Oh my God, you've been hacked." Trump has said he is coming for Child Protective Service and child support. So that's really what we're waiting on. But in the meantime, I want people to understand that it is hard to get in touch with some senators, and it really is how you present it. Now, I have told them, don't put your whole case in there. You don't need to do that. But you need to say this has to be reformed.
Right.
And I heard that you all went to an event. Jennifer said she couldn't remember the name, where
Sure.
you guys are helping child traffickers.
I just forgot the name of it. What was that called?
Zoe Industries. And
Okay, I'll write it down.
Zoe Industries is an organization in the southern part of Delaware with a primary focus on sex trafficked or sex trafficked children. I think their age is less than 17, and it's probably like 11 to 17 or something like that. And they're residential, and they're an opportunity for the state to place children. They had some challenges. In fact, we had a meeting here I was part of, because Child Protective Services was refusing to assign some of this children to their group, because they want something as simple as they didn't allow cell phones as a part of the treatment. But the reason they did that, as you may or may not know or agree, I don't know, that's one of the ways that the trafficker stays connected with the child is through the internet and through phones. And And so anyway, that's Zoe Industries. That's one of them.
Zoe.
That's what I'm Darren.
I would say that it's not one of them. I think it is the only one in Delaware that I've ever heard of that even has. I mean, I could be wrong. They could be up north and we don't know about it, but definitely in our area, there's not another one that I know about. Do you?
There's a couple of them out there,
Oh
but
wow.
this one's more of a faith-based,
Okay.
nonprofit. So they all have different spaces. This is one
Okay.
example of them. The state's gotten, I guess you maybe want to call it big. They've gotten more concerted effort. They've actually created a branch of the government that's specific to sex trafficking in Delaware. In fact, one of our legislative aides here in my Senate side is the one that's leading it now, and I'm going to partner with her on some legislation that's needed to help their mission. But when it comes to child protective services, I get. What I'll tell you is this, and these are only the experiences I know. So, and one of the reasons I come on, Tiff, I love you. I'm here for you. I want to understand better where you are and what your experiences are. But I'm not as knowledgeable as you are, and I'll just admit it. I don't have that same experience and knowledge here in Delaware. I don't have enough people that are presenting to me the same arguments I do. We have individual situations, there's no question, where people are concerned to reach out, but it's not at the level, or maybe it is. Maybe they're just not connecting with me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thought too, because we don't know.
Well,
Do you know that the United Nations in their report last year said that 85% of the children that they rescue throughout the world in
Mhm.
sex trafficking scandals come from the United States and through CPS specifically?
Wow. No, I don't. I know there's about 300. There's a low number of 100,000, a high number of 300,000. Children that are actively that are citizens, that are United or Americans, what have you, that are actively in the sex trade
Yeah,
right
and
now.
there's probably more. There's even more because every year these numbers don't
Right.
stop each year, they continue. You know what I mean? So you got to think it's that revolving door. And I
Yeah, but
think this is
even
the problem because the facts are never presented to the public as such. They lie
right,
to you. They lied. Listen, 4 years ago, if you would have told me that CPS came and took your kids, I'd have told you to pound sand. You're the worst person on earth. I'd have turned my back and walked away because I would have
right,
thought CPS is doing their job. This is
right,
America. There's no way that this stuff is going on in America. No way that you're going to tell me. But then it happened to me. And I'm like, wow. And you know what? I bet you, I've been doing this for 3.5, 4 years now. I have yet to find one set of parents that I speak with that deserve to get the death penalty, the civil death penalty for their rights taken away from their kids. Because that's what
right.
this is in comparison to, right? Is the death penalty. And I wish that these people would present people like you with honest information and facts, because
Mhm.
you seem like a dude that's going to do something. You're going to
Right,
make things happen. And how do you know if you're not getting the right information? How do you know? You don't.
right. So my
So
my
go ahead.
oldest, my only sister, um, was she she was hung up in drugs big time and ended up on the streets and was pregnant. And literally, I got her, Jennifer, to her credit, was 8 months pregnant, and I got a call from, I guess it was CPS. I don't know what it would be, saying, "Listen, your sister's just had this baby. You are the only one on the list. If you don't take the child's going to enter into the foster care system as an infant." So I called Jennifer, and to her credit, she said yes. And so we took the baby in. Liam, who had just came by just the other day. I mean, he's 6'9" now, 19 years old, and all that thing. He's amazing. But anyway, here's my point. We got a taste of what I guess that involves, because they had to come in and interview us. It was emergency status. Um, it got a little bigger down the road because, regrettably, Marley, when she got healthy, got out and then relapsed. This time, my mother, because Liam was a little older and she had a house, she took him in. So he's like 5, but we had to go through the whole steps of making sure the house is secure. But then even further, my mother was awarded custody. So she was awarded full custody of the child. Now, my sister eventually got healthy and clean, thank God,
Mhm.
and we were able to turn the rights back over to my sister. But that's sort of my experience with this. I know that's wildly different than somebody knocking on the door and saying, "I'm taking your children."
Well,
That's how it's
hold
supposed to
on,
work.
Darren. Well,
Mm-hmm.
here's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You're in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad was the governor. He was
Mm-hmm.
the judge. You're very well known in Delaware. Your whole family is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the situation was different.
Okay.
But ideally, that's a picture perfect scenario, right? Like
Right.
Yeah.
that's the way this thing is supposed to work. You know,
Yeah.
you're having like you people. This cracks me up because listen, anybody that knows anything about recovery or anything, relapse is part of recovery. So
Yeah.
they use that very heavy-handed to take your kid back from you, and that's just their way to get them back in the door to start the money screen up again and all of that stuff. That's a whole different conversation. But anyone knows that. So if you're a family member and everything, you have to know that this is part of the deal. So it's being and standing with that family member beside them, watching them go through their steps, getting out of it, knowing that they could recover. But look at the strong foundation that they had. What CPS does is if you're a drug addict or you have a problem with, I'm not saying, I hate using the word drug addict, it sounds so dirty. But if
Okay,
you
so
have
which
some sort of a,
wait a minute. So what you're saying is, if what you're saying is this is what happened to us, but if we went the other way, this is what would have happened when you're getting ready to explain.
No. What would have happened was if your last name was not Buxton, that child would have been adopted.
Well, what I'm saying is if I had, no, I thought you were going to say that if I didn't take Liam and I had said, and let's forget my name in there, and I was just anybody else and they called me, let's say I didn't take Liam. See, I think at that point in time when I said no, he would have been part of the system. And
of
that's
course,
when CPS could have messed up and been part of his life in a
mhm,
bad way. I
there's
think
that
it's
part too.
because we interacted.
There is that part. Absolutely. I mean, it was funny. Tiff and I were doing the comparison last night. And my brother is the full bird colonel for the Army National Guard. He's a flight surgeon for the state of Maine. He runs Togus VA Hospital, and
Wow.
CPS would not allow him to take our daughter, saying that he
That
wasn't. They weren't capable enough. But yet come on, like what's going on
Oh,
here?
because you know
So
what's funny is you're right because they didn't really interview me or make me do a background check. They just said, "Okay, come pick up the baby."
mhm.
Well, that's because that wasn't CPS. That was probably a
That
hospital social worker.
that's what I'm really thinking that Eric is misunderstanding who the phone call actually came from in the hospital when she had the C-section. He may have thought that was a CPS worker, but I don't believe it was.
it was the state
It was
because
the
the state
state.
had taken her into custody and she was getting ready to go. The baby
Yeah.
was born in jail, basically.
Yeah, that's true. And she was
Yeah.
in there, right. And she had the C-section and she was in Christiana. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, I do believe if we had done the other way and we said we're not going to take the baby and then Liam went through the system, Marley would have had to been fighting CPS the whole time with Liam.
Oh,
Not
they
Yeah.
would
paying
have
attention to
terminated
her
her
recovery,
rights.
and
They
that would
would
have
have
been it.
terminated her rights because
Right.
any child under the age of 5 is
Hmm.
automatically going to be put up for adoption because the bond can be broken.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm
Well,
saying
here's the
that's
thing
what
too.
that's why we didn't go that direction or it didn't happen that way
Right. Well,
for
see,
us.
that gave her ample time to focus on herself for
Mhm.
Right.
recovery. Now, imagine if you're a parent that does have an addiction issue, they steal your kid from you, and I do say steal. They steal your kid from you. You already have an issue, but now you're focusing on fighting CPS opposed to getting yourself well. So
Mm.
even though you're half-assing the things that they're asking you to do, or if they're even asking you, but you're not even focusing on getting clean. You're just focusing on yesing them so that you can get back to the status of your kid. That's not even helping
Yeah.
you. So obviously, relapse is inevitable.
Yeah.
you know so people with those situations don't get that problem, but anybody that knows anything about recovery is the first thing you do is build a strong recovery crew, right? A strong support team. CPS takes that away from someone that has an addiction. They take
Mhm.
away their family by telling the family all kinds of horror stories about your drug addiction. They take away your kid, they take away your wife, they take all of these things away from you, so you have no chance of ever coming out of this, because at the end of it, what do you have? Nothing. You've lost your family, you've lost your kid, you've lost this. Now you can go right to a tent city and just finish out your days, unfortunately, and wait till you die. And that's really the way that it's going. These tent cities are definitely correlation between CPS taking your kid and where families end up, and at the end, because you have no hope left. Like getting your kid, people don't understand that losing your child this way is like, I think it's, and I hate to say this, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody that's lost a child to murder or whatever, but I think this is even worse because your kid is out there somewhere. You get no peace of mind to say, I can go to a grave and I can say, okay, I get time to, grieve and do all this, because you don't know. Every day you wake up, the first thing you think of is, what's my kid doing right now? What are,
Right.
they never go away for you, and this is what they've created. So my question to you is,
So
Senator
you're,
Buxton, is
yeah.
how do you right now, like, are you involved with CPS and working with them at all? Or have you even remotely thought of it? Or is this something that's coming to light for you? You're like, whoa, we have a problem here, I think, Houston?
So it typically works kind of like this, right? Because as a senator, there's a diverse space of things, like literally it could be something related to, CPS, it could be something related to the budget, whatever it might be. And in this space, the space you're bringing to me, typically it's driven by an interaction with a Tiffany from Delaware. Somebody will reach out to me and say, I've got this issue and I'd like to sit with you, which is why I am involved in the sex trafficking legislation, which is why I met with the director, Sarah Poor, just 2 weeks ago, and had another conversation through emails about the legislation piece. So to say I'm specifically working on something related to CPS in Delaware, no, I'm open to understanding better where we are, what you're talking about, versus that I'm actively pursuing something. Because here's what I would say to you. I think for me, I'd want to better understand where these challenges are in Delaware, where it is that I'm seeing these examples of taking the child, lifting them from an individual's, from a household, and then not returning that child in a timely manner or in a safe manner. I need to see that. It's not that it's not out there. It's not, they're just not presenting it to me. So I need to see it. I need to
Right.
find it.
Well, I'm going to tell you one place you can look.
Yeah.
Um, I'm on all my Virginia appellate courts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I find all the terminations.
Okay.
And in Virginia, they will not overturn them. And I'm going to tell you why. 99% of the terminations that get appealed here in Virginia do not get overturned because the higher courts have said the parents did not insert their rights at the very beginning.
Mm.
That's why I'm working on a parental rights bill here.
Okay. Are most of the terminations centered around drug abuse? That's creating physical abuse.
Well, Jennifer's probably gonna have a whole heart attack about this. They will still take children for marijuana use that is legal in Virginia. So yes.
Can't see there's where I got it. So what happens is then in those situations, what I do is I bring in the folks and I want to know who's going to say that that's not true. And then I need to meet with them with you and say, all right, you guys, we got to figure this out because that's a pretty strong statement that makes no sense. Not saying you're wrong. I'm saying
Right.
that makes no sense.
Our governor vetoed a bill that the legislative body put together to make CPS stop taking children due to marijuana use. He said, no, I'm not signing it.
Yeah, I need to understand it better because that doesn't make sense.
Especially with
So,
the isn't
sorry.
that crazy?
Yeah.
So, do you know the parts of Title IV funding? You know how everybody says CPS is taken because they take kids, they make profit, right? Bonuses and all this stuff.
Okay.
You hear that all the time. So in Title Fund, I argue with people about this all the time. In Title IV, Title IV is written the way it should be. Reunification is the goal. The state gets money if you try to if you're in reunification. If you're not in reunification, the state doesn't get dollar for dollar match. But if it happens to go to adoption, and this is capped the money and that stuff too. But if it goes there, they get anywhere between each state gets like $4,000 to $8,000 depending on the kid or whatever. These are legitimately in these bills that say that they get paid bonuses for adopting kids out in a timely manner. So it's easy to say, or I think it's easy to say, that you're only getting this money if you're taking kids out of homes, correct? Right? Because you got to take the kid to get the money.
Okay.
Right. So therefore, they are taking kids to get money. Right? that's pretty evident to say that that's the case, right? It should be easy
Mhm.
for people to say that. Don't you think if maybe we took those bills and instead of promoting adoption, we altered this? Now, this is what I don't know about. You're the senator, I'm not. How would you take a bill and say, hey, you know what, guys? Maybe we look at this. Maybe instead of promoting adoption and breaking the family apart, what if we gave bonuses for reunifying with the family? What if we
Sure.
turn these things around? Like, is that difficult to do for you to, like, if you wanted to go and move on a bill or something? I mean, you got to get backers. There's a whole process, right? It's not like
Yeah.
you can just snap your fingers and make this happen. Like, what is
Sure.
the process? Like, how would you have to even begin such a thing?
Yeah. So the best bills come from what you just said. The best bills come from an invitation to meet, like I am right this second, for someone like yourself who has experiences, has knowledge, and then has a solution. Or maybe it's not a solution. Maybe it's just an opportunity to look at it differently, to offer an incentive that mutes the other side, the one that's more challenging, and encourages what you just stated. So you've asked me, how does a bill gain momentum and success? Just like you did. So I meet with one of my aides or my policy director. I say, look, the current status is what? That there's an incentivification um, to take a child. Can we build a program based on this idea? Can we build an incentive that doesn't do that? That instead encourages whatever it might be, reunification.
Mhm,
So, you ask me, I think you're on to something. So you need to meet with someone in your jurisdiction,
mhm,
identify the current state, identify a solution or an alternative, and have them put it in legislation. So if it was me here in Delaware, that's what I'd need to do. I'd need to meet with you, say, does this, what you explained, does this exist in Delaware? All right. Well, is there a way to do it better? Yes, there is. Here's an option. Like, let's put it together. It might be policy. It may not be legislation.
right. So I've already written this thing, and maybe I'll send it to Tiff, and she can send it to you,
Sure.
and then maybe we can make
Sure.
this. You can take a look at that, and
Yeah,
hey,
I
maybe
would.
it's something to do down the road. You know?
I would like to do it. Here's what I would do. I would take a look at it. I'd ask my
Mhm,
policy director to unpack it, apply it to Delaware.
mhm.
Does this current state that we're looking at right now exist here in Delaware? Because if it is, I'd like to see a cure. You can't cure something that isn't going on,
Right.
but hopefully it is here in Delaware, and then it's a solution that we can look to have.
Mhm,
Um, yeah, because one of the things that I'm going to be talking to my senator about,
Mm-hmm.
like I talked to my delegate, it's pretty much the same thing he just said. I said, why can't we stop removing these children and paying strangers, right? Because there's no money in kinship.
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
instead, put the money with the family that needs the services. And she was like, well, that's common sense. And I said, but we're not talking about people that have common sense.
mhm.
Well, they have common sense if they allow everyone at the table to have a voice, and then someone be common sense enough to decide which is gonna, where do we want to move? What direction do we want to move? If you don't invite the right people, you don't get the right information. You get stuck in one lane. So that's why inviting someone like yourself, sitting with a senator, taking a look at how it currently is, and then offering up a solution like this. So
Um, I- I'm sorry, the wind is like above me.
good.
Well, it wasn't just
Is that
that. And
coming from you, Tiff,
also,
or from the outside?
huh?
Is that coming from you or from the outside?
Sitting in the garage, I'm hiding because I forgot that Santa puked in my room and I can't even walk in there.
Who is
You
Santa?
guys.
It was Santa. Come on, Jennifer.
What do you mean?
Nothing, nothing. So anyway, I was also telling them that we need a parental rights bill too, right? Because like I said, I go on these I'm I signed up for all these emails so I can watch the terminations here. And I said to her, one of the problems is this just irritates me. People don't know their rights. They don't understand the Constitution. They don't know how to use them. And when CPS gets involved, they're going to tell you that you have no rights, which is absolutely absurd. So we need a parental rights bill. And I sent her the same two bills that I sent you, the New York one and the Texas one. And I said, we need to follow these guidelines because CPS will blatantly tell you to your face, when we get involved, parents have no rights. No.
Right. So one of the things that I don't know if it's like that over there, but one of the things that the state of Delaware has done is to start to assign, and maybe you guys, everyone already has it, but it's legal aid. And legal aid does not necessarily mean lawyer. Legal aid just means a legal mind, someone who understands. It could even be someone like yourself, who's an advocate, who's assigned to an individual who's going through a termination hearing, so that they can sort of represent them. Now, they don't represent them as a lawyer, but they represent them as an understanding of expertise. You know what I mean? That you have knowledge. And a lot of times what that does, we do it right now for termination of leases for, landlord tenants. And what it does is a lot of times it leads to an arbitration. It avoids the court, and it leads to a path forward for the tenant, i.e., or the parent who's going through it. So I don't know if you're doing that, but that's, good space to be in.
We live in Virginia. We're trying to get a pilot program within 5 different areas, right? So that if CPS shows up, you can call this number. But guess who's stopping us?
Yeah.
The Democrats.
Yeah, because that's fair. That's fair because the CPS shows up. They have all the expertise. They have the power of the government behind them. The parent themselves, you said, still has rights, and they can't afford to. I mean, you're going to ask a person that's in the middle of a storm to what? Drop everything and call a lawyer, and the lawyer's going to do what? Say, do you have a means to pay?
Well,
And,
no. It's a pilot program that only deals with CPS cases, and they keep it out of court.
yeah, no,
But
I'm talking about the scenario right now is like that.
yeah,
So what you're saying makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Because that's what I'm saying. I'm saying right now it's stacked against the parent. So it's stacked against him. Now, again, I get back to here in Delaware. I can't speak to Virginia, but I'm familiar with some cases where, regrettably, the parent has earned it.
Mhm.
The parent has put themselves in a spot where the state has to get involved. And I have seen that. So I don't know enough about Virginia in all cases because you said you were pretty absolute. Remember what I said earlier was I think at least in Delaware, there's good in the bad. There's good inside that bad. And so I need to, I don't know. I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, we're not saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look. The lawyer that I work with has already told the ombudsman and our legislative body that they need to burn this whole system down in Virginia and rebuild it from the bottom up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad it is. I mean, they were told we need to get rid of judges. I don't know if you elect your judges. Ours are appointed.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't elect. No, we do not elect.
Right. They just don't want to budge because it's all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
The state loses money. Virginia, if a child is put up for adoption through the Child Protective Services, they get $150,000 to $200,000 per adoption.
Right.
Wow.
Crazy.
How about the person that's watching them only makes like $20 a day?
Well,
That makes no
that's
sense
the
to me.
kinship.
That's exactly what it was. Came down to like $22 a day.
well, last year, and the Biden administration got in touch with the federal government, which I don't trust none of them, and said you can no longer use that money other than to give it to the families, the TANF money. They could no longer use that money to investigate families anymore through CPS. They could not spend it on frivolous stuff. It's supposed to go to the families, and that's where it better go. Or you can do what you want to do, and we're going to come in and we're going to cut off all your federal funding. Because they were stealing the foster parents' money.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So-
I mean, we don't trust anybody. I'm gonna tell you right. I mean, I trust you and I trust Jennifer and I trust Darren, but my circle's so small we can all hula hoop together in a stereo. And you know what? Darren, you and I are gonna go over his state tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. And we're gonna find the statistics for him. It's not that I want you to attack them. I want you to watch them.
All right.
Because when they know people are watching them, they tend to act a little bit better.
We need to get him my book. We got to send him the digital copy of my book.
Yeah, send him the copy. Send him the copy.
Yeah.
I'll send it to him.
Yeah.
Well, no, we'll get you. We'll get you the copy of his book.
I'll get him the real. Yeah, we'll put this right here. This is my book right here. Stay Calm CPS is coming. It's available on Amazon. But that's it tells you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know about CPS, and it tells both sides of the story too. It's not just one way. It actually has the bills in it that we're talking about right now. It's got the title funding in it. It's got the American Safe Families Act. It's got all those things that are in there. The American Safe Family Act, the CAPTA, all that stuff. So it's a good little education piece for you, so you could familiarize with yourself with, because again, you don't know what's going on. So how do you know what to even look for? I don't know if this is even a passion of yours or whatever, or if this is just, but I mean, it needs people like you, man, to get in there and fight for us. It really does. It needs, like you seem like you go in and you're elected unchallenged. That means something. And that really does. That just means someone doesn't want to get their ass rolled over when they run up against you. So it's like, cool, just let this guy come through and just be on his way because he does such a good job. So people obviously have that kind of respect, and you have the type of charisma. I mean, you could get something done for this stuff. You could make these things move forward, And, I mean, if it's,
So I'll unpack it here in Delaware.
No, we need to get your ass to the White House. That's where you need to be.
Good Lord, I don't know about all that. Father Time's not on my side.
Hey, listen, 45's the new 30, isn't it?
Amen. I'd take 45, my friend. I'd take that. But that's all good. So anyway, hey Tiff, I gotta ask you something though, and this is off topic.
Okay.
Who put your song together?
Darren.
That was straight you, wasn't it?
Darren.
But I mean, at first I thought it was a song, and then I said, well, this is a song, but this is a song with Tiffany, intertwined, and I'm thinking, damn, well, that was good.
Darren did that because he called me, right? He said, I want you to do a show with me. I want you to be my co-partner or whatever. I said, all right. So he said, what are your main goals? I said, I want people educated. I want to get kids home, and I want us to get this reform. And he said, that's it? I said, that's it. He said, okay, tonight we're going to have a song. And that's what it was.
Boom.
So, yeah, well, I started this like 2 years ago. I've worked for Vincent Davis. I worked with him at his place for a while doing their shows. And I worked with some other people in this realm of stuff. And I started with my own podcast first and then so on, and it's progressed to this. What I'm trying to do is get a 24-hour channel of just people talking about CPS on YouTube or any of these places out there that broadcast to. That way, like more people doing more shows. So we've got this show, we've got CPS Victims Hunting Justice. It's on after this at 9. It's a whole different panel. I'm on that one too. But I think I want to get this channel filled with people so that there's access for people that like you that are saying, I want to get this unpacked. I want to hear information. Well, I could go to this channel and I'll listen and I'll find the people I need to find to get to you. So that's what I'm trying to build is this. And it's tough, but we're getting there and more every day.
The challenge, something as simple or serious as, Delaware's small, and then Sussex and Kent County are even smaller. And so one of the pulse of the communities, a lot of times is filtered through your volunteer ambulance services and your volunteer fire companies. And why is it that I say that? Because they inject into these homes and these communities. They get a very raw front door walk through look at how the home is and how people are living and what the conditions are and the children that are in those homes. And they tell me some tough stories. They really do. They talk about the parents are just OD'd on the bed and stuff, and the children are walking around, haven't been cleaned and whatever. Now,
Now that's a different situation right there. That's
Yeah.
an absolute different situation.
Okay.
That
Yeah, we don't
involves
advocate for
you.
those parents.
No. That's
No.
that's a whole different scenario.
So that's different than because when we started, you sort of said absolute or termination, and then it's 100% bad. And I'm thinking, I don't know if it's 100% bad. Not here in Delaware, anyway.
Well,
So,
we figured out the actual numbers is funny because they tell you all these different numbers. The numbers for reunification, and it's simple math. You just got to break it down from the point that it started to the point that it gets to. Is 12%. So once CPS gets their hands, that's the national number altogether. CPS
gotcha.
gets their hands on your kid, you have a 12% chance of reunifying. Now it
Right
might
on.
be like in states, like she says, 40% or whatever, but you just take the national numbers and divide them down, right? And it's a child a minute is what CPS takes into custody.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like Delaware, though, may be different. You're right. Like Delaware's a small place. But if I were to tell you that Maine leads the country, 'cause that's where I'm in, is in Maine. Maine leads the country in abuse and neglect, so they say. So we have more abuse and neglect in the state of Maine than out California with LA. I mean, we barely have a city up here.
Wow.
They say that we have more abuse and neglect up here than anywhere in the United States.
So is
Not
that
even more, like double.
so? That's the how do you explain that? Is it just an overzealous policy that they applied to cases? I mean, there's no way Maine is more. I don't know. Maybe. What do I know? I can't say no way.
I
I
don't
don't know.
believe it either. Listen, I've never even met anybody that spanks their kids up here.
Right.
They may make them go outside and work in the yard or in the farm or whatever, but like there's not a lot of that. That's the thing. Like, so
You know,
things like this.
here's the thing, though. I get in trouble. I was on a school task force that I created that basically said, I called it the task force was basically to deal with classroom behavior and school discipline. And the Democrats refused to call it discipline. They said discipline was a bad word. And I said, here's the thing. You have no problems talking about medicating our 7-year-olds, but you got a big problem with a swat on a butt. I don't understand that. A spanking isn't a beating, and spanking isn't abuse, as long as it's. I hate to say it, because everybody gets in their feelings and like, oh, you're advocating for hurting kids. No,
No,
but I'm
not at
telling
all.
you right now, I grew up on a swat on the behind, and that
Yeah,
thing worked.
yeah, you're damn right. You never did that again, did you?
But here's the thing: we've demonized that, but we have maximized drugging our kids. Now it's like you said, why? Because there's money in that game.
That's right.
You
And
know,
there's test grounds. They got test grounds. Look, all these kids get taken into CPS custody. They immediately are putting them on some sort of something to, ADHD
everything.
or this or that. Right.
Sick 'em.
It's a
Meanwhile,
test ground. It's a
meanwhile,
free test
yeah.
ground. It's a free test ground. Put these kids on this medicine. Let's try
Yeah.
this out and see if
Meanwhile,
it
the
works.
reason why they're on the medicine is because you guys are allowing your kids to eat the cookies on the shelf and the Fruit Loops and all of the cereal and the Pop Tarts. I've said it for years. My sister already knows. I've already
Or the
said this
fact
for
they got
years.
removed from their family and
It's
there's
part
nothing
of their
wrong.
whole system. Is load them up on the junk, make them act crazy when they're eating the sugar,
Do you know
and
about the
even
Yucca
and
app?
even and even the school lunch that they give is full of crap. There's nothing
Oh, awful.
nutritious about it.
Do you know about the Yucca app, Jen?
Yeah.
Or you
The
should
what?
check it out. It's called Yucca or Yucca app, and it's a thing that you go to like you go to the grocery store and you run the barcode on it, and it'll tell you exactly. And it has a rating system whether the food's good or bad, what's in it, why it's
Yeah,
dangerous,
it
the whole
yeah,
nine.
and I know yeah, and it should be. And like I was telling my husband the other day, that other countries have stickers on them, and they go so when it's a nasty food and it has like a green sticker, like
Yeah, that's it.
yuck, like
My mom
poison.
swears by them.
You're gonna buy it, and then it's got to take you that much to say this is a green sticker, and then you still buy it anyway.
Yeah,
You'll probably still
listen,
buy it anyway. It don't even matter.
yeah,
Because your
my
kid will
mom.
be like, I want those. And you go,
Yeah,
sure.
Well,
yeah,
our
just go on the
okay is
line.
changing all of that. I can't wait for this administration to come in, and y'all better mark your calendars because I don't even talk like that.
Oh, I know it's going to happen because I've known about it for years. I cannot wait. There won't be much on those shelves. It's going to be like, ooh, whoa. We're all going to be like, you thought we were going to be in a big bind of running out of toilet paper. Wait till
So,
you see what's going to happen.
hey, Tiff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I am coming up on a hard stop.
that's fine. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
And
thank you so
Darren and
much.
I are gonna look up your state. But I will say this.
Yes.
Valerie, the lawyer, said out of all the states, Delaware and New Jersey were the best two places to have a CPS case.
Okay.
I
Good.
do know that.
You mean like Delaware doesn't have a problem?
No, Delaware's got a problem. Every state has a problem.
Oh, okay. I
Right.
didn't. I
Right.
didn't really understand. Oh,
But
I'm going to
New
be looking it
Jersey,
up. All
New
you got to do.
wait a minute. New Jersey's Supreme Court
Mm-hmm.
told CPS, you have to prove these parents are unfit, and the parents no longer have to defend themselves. It's your job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she said Delaware courts have caught on to this over the last couple of years, and the judges are not removing as quick as they do in other states.
Well, here's what I don't understand too. When you go over there and you're being removed for something, you said that you did bad, but then when they get removed and you guys did something bad for them, how come they're not responsible for that behavior of removing them from my home when they were under your care? That makes zero sense to me when they were
Okay.
injured under your care.
You know what that's
So,
called?
Just
That
told
is
the senator
called
needs to get out of here.
Ah,
oh, I
that's
know my
called
husband's got to go.
no accountability. And that's something I want changed. I told my legislative body, if the parents have to be held accountable, even if they didn't do it, then CPS workers, judges, lawyers, and police need to be held accountable for their
Well,
actions.
you damn right, because why are they better than you above the law? Because their title says that their piece of
Because my
paper of what their
name,
career
this
says
is
they're
why,
above the law of what is
this,
right to
listen,
the endangerment of
Well,
the
look, guys,
welfare of
let's
a
let the
child.
senator go. He's got to get out of here. He's
hey,
on a hard
All right, bye,
break.
honey.
So,
I
thank you,
got it.
Eric. Jennifer, you can
Hey,
stay.
Jennifer, stick around. I'm going by mom's. All right.
Honey, I thought you gonna bring a pizza home, right? Because I didn't get downstairs.
I got to go by mom's first. I'll give you a shout. Okay. All
Bye,
right.
honey.
I'll see you guys.
Bye,
My
Jennifer.
thank you,
pleasure.
Senator.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right,
Take
have a
care,
good one.
guys. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Yeah, but that's a point that I don't understand is that I told you I shared you a case and you're like, oh, I've known about that case for 10 years and it was something that's on. What I would like to say to Eric, but Eric's not as open minded, you could actually just say it's really that simple. Just go to TikTok and type in CPS and just sit there for an hour and just let all the normal people that this has happened to tell you their stories. It's really that simple.
Jennifer, you're his wife.
But he
You
doesn't
got
see
some
that kind of
convincing.
stuff.
You got
Eric
power.
is not like that. He is just a regular. You have he doesn't know about it. He doesn't see it. I've never seen that in Delaware. I've never heard about it in Delaware, but I know about what you
Jennifer.
said and I totally believe all of it. But what I'm
No.
saying is we've never heard anybody in Delaware say we have a problem with these kind of issues or have anybody in the paper say anything or
Well,
see anything like
Jennifer,
that.
Jennifer, they do not publicize it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. That's why it makes it harder for people like and you would think that if there was something going on, here's what I'm going to say. If they don't, how could anybody not believe this? I mean, it's just like it's not even something just like what you guys just said. You nailed it on the freaking head. If my when my husband actually reads and understands it, what your friend just said there, you nailed it on the head. If you can change the program for the CPS workers that are doing that and make it differently and make the incentive differently, then maybe they wouldn't be secure and they would be better to go back. But the problem is you guys know and I know that this is much bigger than this.
Yes.
Okay.
This is
This
our
is not like
economy,
we're
I
going to
believe.
fix this in Virginia. And, if you really look it up, and I told my husband earlier this morning because I knew that we were having this interview today, if you really do look up your information, you'll find that Virginia does have a very high level of sex trafficking throughout since starting in the 1990s. This isn't something that we're just like pointing out to you that's just happened in the last 5 years or something. This has been going on for a long time. It's just
It's
that
been going on since the
you guys
1600s.
have this is being brought light to it, just like the Freedom movie. This isn't something when you saw the Freedom movie, he was sitting there going, I can't believe this is real. And then I got mad at him and said,
How many times do I have to tell you that was the reason
Uh,
why we were coming here, Eric? So, if you weren't really watching it that way, knowing it was real the whole time, that's disappointing. Did you think we were just watching a movie?
right? Or go to
You know what I'm
Allie's
saying?
Army. Check
But
out
because
Allie's
he was
Army.
unaware, and I knew when I was going to watch that movie, I knew that this was some real shit.
Yeah,
Okay. And a lot of people didn't really understand that because they don't,
yeah,
I'll give you an example. They don't, if you don't see it, you don't know it. And it's, once you see it, it's hard to unsee. That's all. So he hasn't seen it to unsee it yet.
Or
right.
you have to live it.
Or you have to live it, like what your video just said for 30 years. You have to know how to fight them. Here's what I would say to you. I think your little show here, I loved your video. I think your
Oh,
video should be ran on TikTok under the hashtags of CPS. And I think that you guys should be more of people. You could draw more attention. I'm just trying to help you social media wise.
yeah,
You
appreciate it.
guys could draw more attention going on to that and creating a page and using CPS and drawing people's attention to your page by saying that we can help you. We know how to talk to you. We know how, if you're having, you could even put you could even write it on a TikTok thing, like on a piece of paper, like you could go on Facebook and you can type something in and then just like take a picture of it and then put it on TikTok. You could write anybody that's been caught up with CPS, please call this number. We want to have you on our podcast or we want to share your story. I mean, because you would be surprised at how many people want their story to be told.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Jennifer,
check. I'm the CPS Punisher on there. Check. We have all my videos and stuff are on
They
there.
they want their. I see people like what you're talking about is when my sister really opened my window was. I started seeing people. I mean, you can't even. There's like a million different cases. It just goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah. Think about it.
So
7 million. They had 7 million calls last year on people for this. Just think about that sheer number. Seven
that's crazy.
million calls.
Who did?
Child Protective Services. 7 million calls throughout the
That's
United States.
crazy. That doesn't even make sense.
Now, out of that, there was only like I forget what the number is, 600,000
But
or
here's
something
what I
like
also
that.
want to say. Why are we punishing children for
Yes.
something that may be
Amen.
neglected on and you're taking your
That's it
child
right
and you're
there. You
moving them
nailed
and
it. You
punishing them
nailed it.
mentally?
You nailed it.
And
The
there's no
children are the real victims
psychological
of this.
therapy that could ever bring children away from taking them away from their parents. If you freaking took, and I get what you're saying, if you freaking took my child from me and for something that I don't even care if I did something wrong. I've seen people in court where you watch where they're like the landlord. I rented a place and there was like roaches, and then CPS was called because like my kid went to school and I had like a roach in my book bag. I don't know, something stupid like that.
Right.
And then you find out that instead of being the landlord being responsible for the goddamn apartment, right? Because it's his
The family.
freaking
Yep.
apartment, right? But guess what they said? The judges will say, well, we're not, here to bring landlords to court. We're here to
Right.
bring, parents to court for not taking care of and making sure when there are bugs that they do things about it. How about holding the renter guy that owns it
Right.
responsible and then say, we'll do whatever we can to fix it so you don't have to live like this? But no, they'll take the child away from him in a situation where they screaming. And you damn right, if you took my child away from me and I didn't know where my child was going, and you think it wouldn't be traumatic, I'll freaking sue every freaking one of you.
Yep.
That's how
There's that.
I would feel. But your rights get taken from you, and you're not able to fight that way because I can see how people would get distraught and they don't know who to call. You guys should have that. Is what you should be. You should be the hotline to call. Like whatever your number is, call us.
Yep. No, we
got it.
That's what.
well,
Yeah.
there's a report done by the University of Baltimore.
Mhm.
It's called
Mhm.
the oh my god, bring up here. The harm of removal is what the study's called.
The harm of removal. I
Yep.
couldn't even imagine. Like, whose responsibility is it for their emotional trauma? Let's say we know that there are cases, which I share with my sister, that of them, taking a child that died that they took in that was helping them, and then that they took all their kids away, and then they found out that they were great parents, and we're so sorry a year later. But during that time, during that time, their own children were abused sexually from being
Yes.
put in foster care, but nobody,
Yeah.
I said it to my sister, but who was accountable for them when they did the same thing 10 times worse when they were responsible for your child too?
Right. And imagine this. Imagine being that child and all you want to do is go home. And even though you're abused and all this, and they still don't let you go home.
That'd be terrible. I would be like
You go
stealing my
somewhere
kid.
else.
I'd be stealing
Crazy.
my kid. It's terrible. I don't even want to, I can't even think about it. That's what I always told my sister-in-law. She's very lucky that I stepped in. She was never had to be held accountable through social services or any of those people showing up at her door. Okay? Those are some scary freaking people.
Hmm.
Oh, I if you all you got to do is I'm going to have my husband do it. But all you got to do is like I said, all you got to do is go to TikTok and click in CPS and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
It just
Night
it's
show.
traumatic.
Yeah, the show at 9 o'clock. We
Mhm.
do that a lot of times. We just skip. We go through the CPS videos on TikTok. Like we'll just
And
play them on
you know
the show
what
at
you
9.
should do is try to find a lot of those kids that have been abused and in the system. Those are the ones you want to talk to too. Bring them on your freaking show. Get
Yeah,
those
we've
kids
got.
that have
Yep.
been abused. Get them on here.
Yep.
Tell them. Get their inside story. Tell them. I want to
Yep.
see them. Get them on here. Like
Well,
that's
Jennifer,
disgusting. Hmm.
about you, I'll link you up with Darren, and you two can work on that.
Yeah, but here's another thing you could do. You remember the case where the mother had like it wasn't that long ago, and this isn't true. You guys can look this up. Maybe you could contact her. Remember a long time ago, there was a mother that had like 13 kids, and they tied them
Alcohol.
up to the bed, and the one little and she abused all of them, and they malnutritioned all of them, and half of them were attached to a bed with the thing, their moms has like real long brown hair, and the dad they were both doing it. They were starving all their 13 kids, and long story short is when they got taken away and the mother and dad went to jail and they're in prison now, all of those kids got adopted into CPS and childcare after that, okay? But what's significant about it, and you're going to be upset about this because it's hard to listen to what I'm going to say, but once they were rescued from their own parents, they got put back into the system, and two of them were re-abused in the system, and one was ordered to eat their own freaking puke and
Yeah.
everything, like such emotional stuff, and the other one got sexually abused and everything, and they were already rescued on ABC News and had been in
Yeah.
every situation. They should have been popular and had been put into the right care and maybe put into the right therapy to help them. Remember, they couldn't
Yeah.
talk very well because they didn't have education because the system failed them too. You
Yep.
should look their cases up and maybe get them on your show.
Jennifer, I don't mean to interrupt, but Sade said is saying hi, Aunt Jennifer.
Hi, everyone. But did you understand that? Those are what I would do for you guys to get more of attention because the one girl, she's now on TikTok. So you need to go over to the TikTok. You can find her with the blonde hair. She's now on TikTok and she's kind of popular and she's having fun on TikTok, but she tells her story. And she's a good person to tell the story about what happens inside CPS when she went from being from an abusive family, thinking that she's been saved, but she wasn't saved at all. Neither her or
Right.
her sisters.
Well, here's
Yep.
the thing, Jennifer. Say hi to King, Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Oh my goodness. Look at you.
Say hi, Darren.
Hello,
Hi,
Mr.
Aunt
Man.
Jennifer.
Hello. Look at him. What are you hiding?
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is a known fact.
Hmm.
Children placed in foster care are 600 more times likely to be sexually abused, physically abused, and murdered by a foster family.
I'll tell you what. I am so for those foster parents. I feel so sad for those children that all I want to know is this. Show me the statistics of how many kids come out of the system great. And I can guarantee you that it's like the 2%. That's what I'd like to see. Show me
Yep.
great stories. I can tell you that there's probably a lot of bad ones and there's not
Yeah.
enough
Nothing
to add
good.
up.
Nothing good comes out of this. Nothing good at all.
I
Because just the trauma. So the that report that I told you about at the University of Baltimore, it says that children are much better staying in their abusive homes. Now, granted, now we're not talking
Yes.
the people that are tied to the bed and like,
Yeah, I know what
well,
you're
maybe
saying,
you
but
even are, but they are
letting
so
them go for dumb
devastated.
stuff.
They are
Mhm.
so devastated when they are removed from their family core and that security. They're so crushed that it ruins them for a lifetime. Ruins them. They're ruined.
Well, here's another thing. Here's what a good question for me would be. Out of the percentage of those children that were put through foster care after the age of 18, how many of those families continued on after they didn't receive payment?
Yeah, right. The
How
foster
many?
families you're talking
Because
about.
how many have achieved at college and they have a great family life,
Yeah.
and moved on and had great? It's only 1%. I can guarantee you. Show it to me.
Well, I
That's what I
will
would
tell
like
you
to
this.
see. I want to see how the system works so great that show me how many times did it work so great. Because I don't see it. Maybe you'll have 10%. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's what Eric probably needs to say.
Well, I will tell you that there was a study done on
Hmm.
people in prison all across this country.
Hmm.
85% of men and women in prison had some kind of dealings with Department of Child Protective Services.
Well, absolutely. Because just as traumatic as our childhood was with our own mother, we grew up with a lot of money and wealth and everything. And it doesn't matter whether you had money, whether you were living in a one bedroom house with a refrigerator, or you were, it doesn't matter. Okay. At the end of the day, just like you, and I don't mean to bring up your emotional issues, if you were like when you went to Leesburg Manor, right? Because for what did you do? Smoke pot or something so stupid? Like Paris Hilton when she was like, I didn't even do anything. I just got caught drinking alcohol. And she ends up having, when you see her story, remember when she went to like some institution? So something so like probably what most kids do at that age, right? That the parents can't handle it and they're like, you're so bad. Then they put her in that institution, and instead of something being good coming out of those things, they find out years later that all the emotional trauma, you can't take that kind of trauma away from something of kids that you do when you're 15 years old and you freaking abuse them worse than their own parents, and then you drug them up and beat them and then like strip them down of their clothes. Are you kidding me? I mean, you that kind of stuff is like too emotional. So when you're
Yeah.
taking kids away from their mothers and doing things like, how does that kid know that the roaches are bad?
Right. It's
That's the
just part
one
of their
story
life.
that
It's
sticks.
just part of their
That's the
life.
one story that sticks in my mind the most. That you mean this mother lost custody because she rented for someone? In my mind, she didn't even own it. She didn't even give her a chance.
Well,
Yeah.
not to bring up our childhood, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
DPS, the police, teachers, everybody was so afraid of our mother, nobody would help us.
Oh, I know that, but I'm saying
Now,
that's
I'm
because, like
telling
I said,
Darren,
huh?
Right.
Well,
Happens.
I'm telling
oh,
Darren would help us. That is how afraid of our mother they were.
well, I don't know if it was always just it was her attitude, but we also had a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true.
That helps.
Okay, so you have a lot of money. And I try to tell Eric back in the day, just because you look at me and you see that I came from a wealthy family and I have all this, had money or whatever growing up, that meant nothing because it was the same as living in a poor family with an abused mother. I might as well just live there. It was the same situation. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or you're poor. That doesn't, it's not a category. Mental health and abuse and your mother mistreating you, whatever, it doesn't matter if we were poor, it would have been the same abuse.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So the money didn't cover up the abuse. Do you understand that?
Hmm. It actually saved you, to be honest. It didn't break your family away.
Well,
You know.
well, no, my sister and I always loved each other. My sister was coming back for me. But at the end of the day, we try to tell people there's a lot of stuff that goes on and we never I used to always want CPS to be called. Remember, Tiffany? I'd be like, please, somebody, can someone call? I don't want to live with her.
And
So,
we both
Yeah.
left home.
We had a
We
person on
both
that.
left home at 15.
huh?
I said we both left home at 15.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't really leave home at 15, but I left her home at 15. But at the end of the day,
I tried to kidnap her.
Yeah, she tried to kidnap me. And at the end of the day, I don't really like to talk about my past, and it's not something, even in my therapy right now, we, like I said, no matter what happens, whether you were pulled through CPS or you were living with an abusive mother throughout years, it's too traumatic. Even if you're 50 years old or you're 60 or you're 40 or 30, it's still events that happened.
Yep.
Hold on, let me text Eric. Yep.
Tell him I want a chicken bacon ranch pizza, please.
um at the end of the day, it's just, even it doesn't matter if you got torn away from your parents that actually love you, and it'd be a different story if, so when you have parents that are fighting for you because they love you, those are the parents that you give your children back to. If you're fighting because you're poor and you can't do this or whatever, then we assist you and we help
Where's
you.
yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right,
Well,
and so we
to
say to
help,
you, you can't do the, you can't have roaches here, so maybe CPS should say, maybe we should call your landlord and give them a warning. Where was that at?
Right.
Instead we just go, okay, we'll take in your kids, let's do a traumatic, take them down, see you later. Because roaches, no kidding, they'll take you for roaches. I've seen it. A roach? I can have a roach. I don't even really know what a roach looks like. But I mean, I'm not trying to be snooty. I don't really know if it was looks like a cockroach or it looks like a little bit of a cricket one. I'm sure
Or a
I've had a
little
roach
burnt
in my
down joint.
basement before. Okay, I don't even know, but I've seen cases before. They're all over TikTok over just dumb stuff like that, saying that like it wasn't like the house wasn't the right way, or like, you know what? My house isn't that clean every day either. Does it? Nobody's, if unless it's infested or whatever. Are you caring and you love for your child? Some of the stuff that I saw was not acceptable. So what I was seeing more was just making excuses of what they could do to just remove them from the home. That's what I saw mostly.
Yeah, crazy.
And I could be wrong. That's on TikTok from what I see.
well, I'm going to send him your email address so he can send this stuff to Eric,
Okay.
and he can, you all can find each other on Facebook too, and you can help
Mhm.
with the TikTok stuff because you better at that than I am. I don't know about all that other stuff.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys had that interview with Eric, and that was great. And I think it's good that you guys put awareness to it. And you know that I already knew about it. But remember, I was the same as Eric a couple years ago because I didn't know about it because like I said, I was part of the system, and when they did that to me, I just kind of backed out of it, and it all kind of makes sense. But like, you need to really show more evidence to Eric because he's totally unaware of it. Eric doesn't know things unless you tell him.
We're gonna get on the telling. No,
Do you
we
understand
don't.
that? He's
Yep.
got so
Yep.
many things on his plate that he's trying to take care of all these other things, so he's not looking for more issues.
Right.
So meaning like if you don't tell him, he don't know.
Exactly.
Well,
Thank you, Jen.
All right, thank you guys.
She
I'm
blacked
sorry.
us out.
He
She
just
said
said
she's
I
done.
too
Look at
late.
that. She
He
blacked
said,
her out. Blacked us out.
she
all
blacked
right.
us out.
No, hold
Just
on. No, I'm coming back. Eric said he ordered. He said Chick-fil-A, but then he just said too
oh
late.
wow,
I
I love
ordered a
Chick-fil-A.
pizza. I was like, well, what the hell did you ask me for Chick-fil-A for? That's confusing. Okay.
Oh god.
All
I
Okay.
right.
love
So
Chick-fil-A.
I'm gonna
Did you
send
get
him
it?
your email address. And I want you to come back on the show too because I know
Yeah.
you're my
Oh yeah.
sister. I know.
Well
What?
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. All right. That's enough.
Do you know I know what?
About
You
CP.
know that I know that you know that she knows that I know that you know.
That's kind of funny. Y'all are cracking me up. Now my husband's making me laugh. Is he getting pizza or Chick-fil-A? And normally I cook all the time, but I'm like, you know what? You just
Well, I got another show to get ready for. I gotta take my suit off. I wore the suit. I said, you know what? I don't have any pants on though. I just have the jacket.
Oh Lord. So I'll send you her email address so you can get Eric that stuff.
All right. Cool.
Jennifer, I love you.
Jen, thank you very much for coming on tonight. You were great.
Everyone listening to every word, no
She's on you.
hesitation.
passionate.
The
You don't have
pride
time
you
for this.
learned of the name you had,
Chick-fil-A or
it
pizza.
taught you that you
Chick-fil-A
were
or
something.
pizza.
Never feel bad. You
Yes,
knew the
we're not on
trials and
tomorrow, don't forget.
tribulations it took
Today
to
is
make you.
Thursday.
Your aunt, your
Today's
uncle,
really
you always
Thursday.
knew who was who. Who was
All right, cool.
Good night.
Have a good night.
CPS.
See y'all.
When they take the kids away, erase the heritage of the children they have gotten pay. These children don't know where they begin. They sure know the outcome, the end. CPS, you're destroying the family. You think you're making things better. These kids don't know who they are. They will never. In a blink of an eye, you eliminate what's theirs to cherish. There is no imminent danger great enough to annihilate the name of a family and those that it consummate. How dare you take away such an honor for you to get a bonus and arise so much drama. Our kids, their lives erased away. Never will they know who paved the way. They are left empty to never hear the story, who their grandparent were, the sad times and the glory. CPS, walk away. CPS, not today. Please, we beg you, leave the kids alone. God bless you. How do you think you are, helping things out? You're causing more pain and agony, without a doubt. Why do you want to be the eraser of a family past given by the Creator? CPS, why do you play the role of God while so many families are truly breaking the law, inflicting harm throughout the night? The children are scared to turn out their lights. So go away, don't ever come back. Go away, I want my parents, that's that. I don't belong in a stranger's bed, thinking all night, memories in my head of the only love I once had. It was from my mom and dad. Now I lay alone, listening to strangers fight, never hearing the words I love you, good night. So good job, CPS, you really helped me. Now I'm scared, I'm alone, I don't know who I am. I've been cast away. If I'm lost, no one knows. There is no family to find me. CPS took that away, it's all behind me. When I go to bed every night, I close my eye tight. And through the tears I see my mom and dad, wishing they were here. I am so sad. You ruined my life, who gave you that right? My family loved me, they all said goodnight. Now I'm truly alone, nothing to be happy about, no place to call home. All I know is the time of day. CPS, just go away.